Gamer Dojo Top 5. Here we go. My name is Brian. Oh, sitting with me is Retro.
Retro, yeah.
Across from me we got Kiki Borash.
Still sticking that name?
And to my left we got the Jimbo.
Good guy, Jimbo.
Good guy, Jimbo. And once again, my name is Brian, and this is our top 5 list. And drum roll, please. What do we got?
Of N64 games, your personal 5 favorite games. What do you like? Doesn't mean it probably still has replay value to today. Fond memories from the past. And if you were on an island, what 5 games would you pretty much want with you?
Interesting.
It's your 5 games.
Ready to go?
Let Jimbo started.
My number 5 is the original Super Smash Brothers.
Oh.
And now I remember this game having kind of a small roster, but at the time there's no game like it. And 4 people, probably I think there was like 8 to 10 stages. What was the story mode like? I'm trying to think if I remember the story mode. I always just remember playing other people.
I don't remember the story.
It was just arcade mode, no story.
It's similar to like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Or like any
Sometimes
other
you
game.
fought like Metal Mario. Like they had some special stages.
What kind of characters? You had Pikachu, Link, Samus. What were some of the secret characters? I'm trying to remember.
Captain Falcon.
Captain Falcon was secret.
Yep. Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff is in there, yes.
Ness and Luigi. Those are 4 secret. Who did you use the most in that version?
Samus was pretty cool. That Charge Ball. Pikachu was fun. But yeah, I don't think there was any game that really drew players from other people.
And what was cool about Smash Brothers was what you mentioned earlier about being 4-player. Having 4 people on the same screen at once fighting, which was original at the time.
And
Power Stone maybe was the only one before that kind of did something like that, but
Stone was later, wasn't it?
yeah, and you could do team battles too, which is cool.
in the original Super Smash Brothers team battles.
Yeah, 2 versus 2.
Damn. So yeah, that game just came out of nowhere, and out of like all your Mario Karts and all your other games like that, this was a fighting game of all these characters. So definitely interesting. I definitely had to throw it on my list at number 5.
Had good stages.
Yeah, good stage.
And
Fox.
the whole idea of how they battle too, the battle royal style, not like a life that you could take more damage, not technically be even eliminated to end stage.
Yeah, that kind of started that part.
Donkey Kong was in that game too. I don't see his name anywhere. Wasn't
He was
Donkey?
on it, yeah.
The original?
Yoshi?
Yoshi was in it.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was in pretty much all of them.
The game's pretty good.
Yeah, that was so that's definitely my 5th game.
My number 5, Perfect Dark. I think it took everything that made Goldeneye good and made it even better. The story mode was cool. You could fight aliens. It was released in 2000 by Rare, one of the best companies at the time. But of course, the multiplayer was where it was at. You could do 4 players, and you could fight bots in this version, which was awesome. You could change the bots from like hard to easy.
What could you do 4 humans versus 4 bots? Do you remember?
You could do team, yeah.
You could do 4 humans versus 4 bots.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
Multiple
You
teams.
got more bots. And the bots can have teams too.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
So the bots are you could change them up, all different types of bots. And it's pretty much just a continuation of what GoldenEye did. And the story mode was co-op, which was probably one of the first co-op first-person shooter games, I think. So it was pretty groundbreaking for its time, before Halo and all that.
I remember the bots being insane if you put it on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah.
Like, it was impossible to kill one.
What were some of the guns they had in that game? I remember there was like a laptop that did something funky.
Yep, laptop gun. You could throw it onto a wall, and it's like a sensor.
Mm-hmm.
They have
The turret,
the X-ray gun that shot through walls.
which was in the movie Eraser.
I was about to say that reminds me of Eraser. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Cyclone. They all like good weapons. A lot of stuff used from GoldenEye.
And was Perfect Dark an original concept? There was nothing that was based off beforehand.
Original concept.
It
Yeah.
was sort of like, yep, we're gonna create something called Perfect Dark, and here it is.
And it worked out well for them. Yeah, that's my number 5.
Number 5 is good too.
Number 5 is, for my list, is Cruisin' USA.
Cruisin' USA.
Anyone in particular? Was it the
The
original?
first one came out in 1994.
64.
It was one of the first games out for Nintendo 64. I think it was like number 2. Yeah, that game was fun.
I think I remember the arcade version of that. Wasn't
Yeah,
the
there's an arcade version. The game it's an arcade racing game. Midway Games published it. Yeah, the whole concept was you cruise around locations in the United States. But I mean, it was cool because it was like the first type of racing game you see on a console. That's like today. It's like the graphics and whatnot.
Mix of kind of realistic driving. You had still like an arcade and comic book feeling too.
Yeah, it was like an arcade at home. You can only play games like that in arcade.
Very cool music, I remember.
Yeah.
No, didn't have the song Daytona though. That was a different.
That's Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona racing.
Daytona.
It's not San Francisco Rush either, though.
Another game that's kind of close. I was looking at that before.
Yeah, it's on the list. Not as, but yeah, it was a fun game.
Whatever happened to Midway, that company? I don't know.
Isn't that the Mortal Kombat?
But they're not anymore.
I have a game from them coming up probably next, but.
Mario Party 1. Here's why I chose Mario Party over Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers, it was never fun because I got way too competitive and would get angry if I lost or I would throw the controller. As where Mario Party was more fun and I would laugh and had a lot of cool different mini games. Character-wise, it didn't matter who you would pick. Kind of like a board game, but for a video game, which I thought was very cool.
Also, I wanted to say, Super Smash Brothers was a series that got a lot better, whereas Mario Party started off really good.
It kind of got weaker,
worse.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said Mario Party 1. I wish they would bring it back nowadays.
Yeah.
Since I think it would be a fun party game.
Did Mario Party 1 have any peripherals that were with that game?
No. Some of them did later on, like microphones. What was your favorite mini game, if you remember?
Oh man, I don't know. There's one that was like.
Do you remember bumper balls?
No, like wasn't that like a sumo one?
Right, you're on the mushrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one.
I remember that one. Like bumper balls.
Bumper balls was good. But that game, you had to rotate a lot.
I think that's why some of our controllers got messed up with the.
They made
The
gloves
joysticks.
to wear.
Yeah.
That game.
You'd get blisters.
Yep, I have a game on my honorable mention that destroyed my hands.
Did anyone ever get a blister from playing N64?
Yep, I have my honorable
way.
mention game. Yep, my hands got destroyed on a certain game.
Everyone's
Spinning the joysticks.
In the middle of your hand.
Yeah.
You had to rotate
I
it.
never-
around.
Show a really
Everybody.
disgusting like Ren and Stimpy picture at this moment of like a close up of like a wart on a hand.
Everybody got that.
But yeah, Mario Party was
Mario
definitely.
Party. I like playing with a party game. Multiple players.
Long games would probably last like an hour. Some of them they could if you said it.
Gotta find the stars.
Yeah, it gets really competitive.
Yeah. But again, it was more fun.
Yeah.
As where Smash Brothers, I would get angry and then
Right.
storm off and break the controller.
I don't know. You could screw people over though in Mario Party a little bit in some of those games and in the board games too, like their stars and stuff.
I've witnessed someone kick a hole in a wall.
But speaking of mini games, though, I'm just trying to do a little research. Not only was there 4-way or 2-on-2, there was 1 versus 3 mini games.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the first games I kind of remember doing mini games like that, where it's just a random one. You might be, if you're in the lead of the board game or whatnot, they'll set you in a 1 versus 3, and
Yeah, you get screwed over.
Definitely.
It's a fun game. Check it out. It's not.
NFL Blitz 2001, a 7-on-7 football game that brought pretty much, even if you're not a fan of football, you could play this game. Good roster in 2001, a lot of players that are a little bit more well known than the original 1990 game. You could also take your memory pack and bring it to the arcade, create plays on your N64, bring it to the arcade, and actually use those games in the arcade, which was pretty fun. Just the over-the-top action was almost kind of like a wrestling game. You do leg drops and shit to people. Quicker paced game. It wasn't a long, strenuous like regular football game like in Quarterback Club or Madden, where those games could take a while. This game, play a quick game over in 10 minutes, start a new game. Just fast paced action. That's definitely my number 4. Playing so many people. I believe 2001 you could actually play 2 versus 2. I think the first game was only 1-on-1. With human people, so having the 2 versus 2 aspect of it was pretty huge, and and that was also a midway game.
Right.
They did like the Mortal Kombat codes beforehand. I remember all that. You could do big heads and all the funky stuff there.
Very arcade.
The NBA Jam announcer was in that game, I believe, or somebody that had that style, just awesome announcing, good video game, not too many glitches, and you can pick it up, and even if you were a master at that game, somebody could still beat you just by randomness. And that is my fourth pick, NFL Blitz 2001.
My number 4, made by a company that no longer exists, Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. Awesome game, kind of a 3D platforming game, but it switches. Sometimes you have to battle on Hoth, and
I believe you start off, right?
yeah,
That's
the first mission is the Battle of Hoth, so you have to do that. You have to fight Boba Fett with a jetpack. You can ride a train and fight IG-88. So it switches it up each mission.
So what each mission is kind of like a reenactment of a famous battle in a way?
No, it's like it's in between episode 5 and 6.
Oh, so it's its own like story then.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
But now it never existed according to Disney.
And that's why it wasn't on my list. It's not canon. It doesn't
canon.
exist. All that stuff is make believe.
Any now when I was compiling my list, multiplayer was a big aspect of it.
No multiplayer.
No multiplayer, no like four player shooter or anything.
Definitely one of the best first player experiences. Dash Randar is an awesome character, but he no longer exists. So
Doesn't exist.
You just got erased. There's a character based solely.
everything before Disney owned it.
There's a lot of things that got erased.
I recommend.
God damn.
Get you fight TIE fighters. It switches it up each mission, but it's extremely difficult. So I wouldn't recommend it
Game is awesome though.
if you like easy games. Yep, awesome game. My number 4.
Let's go on.
All right, let's pass it off to Retro.
Alright. My number 4 for Nintendo 64 is Win Back Convert Operations.
So how?
I know Winback. I actually played that on GameCube. I'll let Randy take over.
That game
What?
was awesome because that
Check it
was
out,
the
yeah.
first to incorporate cover fire.
Mm-hmm.
And boxes, some like wooden boxes can't hold up the bolts, so they'll actually shoot through it, and while like metal containers can withstand bullets. But you're pretty much just like a SWAT or like a special force cop. It's a third-person shooter. Koei Omega Force Studio.
Yeah, that's the
Kenny Omega Force?
Dynasty Warriors company.
Yeah,
Oh.
Koei. They made the game for 64 and PlayStation 2. They came out for 64 first. That game was really a lot of fun. I mean, I remember first playing it, the controls were like really hard. It was nothing I was used to, like having to cover fire and stuff like that. Just kind of like familiar with it.
Did they have laser pointers too, kind of on certain guns? Yeah.
Some guns had laser pointers.
Yeah.
But, and it had a concept of bullets and reloads, so that was like you could reload while covering.
I think I played on a different system, but it was like when you first played Virtual Cop on Saturn, like you just felt like you had the right control of everything you want. Once you learned the controls and everything, you
once
felt
got it.
like you were the special agent in a
Yeah,
way.
it was fun. So it did a good job.
Alright, so my number 4 was the same as Keith, with Shadows of the Empire. The Star Wars vehicle for N64. I'm not going to get into more details as Keith, but it was just a really fun game from the beginning. Start off and playing on Hoth, taking down walkers and AT-ATs. It was fun.
What was your favorite mission?
Favorite mission is always the Battle of Hoth.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I did like the train stage going through the junkyard, fighting IG-88.
That was cool.
And they had a lot of like Easter eggs from like the movies.
Luke Skywalker's in it.
Yeah. There's a mission where you're on Tatooine and you're racing to get to Luke Skywalker.
So 3 and 2 is probably where I had the most trouble of choosing which one. So if I pick this one now, I think that makes 2 pretty obvious, but whatever. My number 3 is Pokemon Stadium 2. Sometimes people think, or I've heard Pokemon 1 get a little bit better ratings, but I think Pokemon 2 has the new 150 or 151 Pokemon, probably where it should stop. This game also had the transfer pack, and I don't know if you could play Crystal, but you could play Gold and Silver, so you could upload these Pokemon. You had berries, I believe, for the first time, so that really added another wrinkle to Pokemon Stadium 2. The mini game mode was awesome because it was continual mini games, and you kind of like play with 4 other people, obviously, being N64. They're cut by Skizzers was pretty cool. Mr. Mime had a funny one. I don't even remember what it did. Pikachu had one. I think there was.
Birthday Pikachu.
Yeah, I think someone with maybe Happy Birthday Pikachu. No, Power Plant Pikachu.
Power Plant Pikachu.
With Elekid and Pikachu. Was Pikachu, was there baby Pokemon in the second gen?
Yeah.
Was that
That's when Pikachu came into the picture.
And Elekid was that.
But what were some other things they had in that game? They had a class they would teach you certain things. It was like a side mode.
Yeah.
Pokemon University.
So you used the game pack to play your own copy?
Yeah, you could import your Pokemon, and just the whole concept of bringing them into a stadium was awesome. The graphics were good. They had an announcer that would do everything for you. So, I mean, it doesn't get as much respect because it's like looked upon as, well, it's Pokemon, and then that gets all the hype. This is just where you bring your Pokemon and play. But Pokemon Stadium 2 had rental Pokemon, so you didn't even need those other Pokemon game. And even though Pokemon was from something else, this game was just something else with how fun it was, and definitely lost a lot of hours playing that game, and just so much depth to it of the stuff you could do with, because that's kind of like when Pokemon got a little bit better with the new types too, the Steel type and
the Dark type, I think.
Dark, yeah, because Dragon was already type, but yeah, Pokemon Stadium 2 I think has to take my third spot.
My number 3 is a game maybe not a lot of people know about, but it's a game I used to rent as a kid a lot. Mischief Makers. And if you go back and try to play a lot of those games nowadays, they don't age well.
No, 3D games didn't age well.
But this game aged well because it's 2D, has good art, good music, good boss battles, and again, it's like each stage is something different.
That game was a lot of fun. I remember you do dodgeball in it.
Yeah, it gets difficult sometimes if you're trying to get the highest.
How did dodgeball work? It was still 2D in the dodgeball?
Just 2D. Everything about it. It's a very underrated game, and this company, if anyone remembers Bangai-O, they made that too.
Bangai-O, shout out to Bangai-O.
Shout out.
Do they still exist?
I think so, but I don't think they really do much anymore. So I remember recently we played it. Remember trying to get the golden crystal
Yes.
in the race? You have to do a race.
How long would it take to complete roughly, you think? Did you beat the game?
Yeah. If you wanted to get everything, it'd take. I looked at the. Because it still has our old data on it, so it took us about 16 hours to get everything, which for older games it's pretty good time. Yeah, so my number 3, Mischief Makers.
Alright, so for Nintendo 64, my number 3 is Hexen.
Hexen 64, I think I remember that.
Hexen 64.
Shooting game, yep.
No, it was a medieval, you could be a warrior, a wizard.
Yeah, the Warlock.
What was cool was it was 4 players, and you didn't have to be close to each other. You're on a stage, you go wherever you want, and fight bosses together, you fight monsters together. It was awesome. We played 3-player on Kiki Borash and
Yeah.
Daniel.
It's,
So was it split screen when you played 4 players?
it's split screen.
Yeah, split screen.
Oh, kind of looks like
It's like GoldenEye.
I think it's
Goldeneye or Doom
It's the
or
same company as Doom, I think, and
Yeah, so-
Wolfenstein.
So yeah, it's I don't know if it's the same company as those guys.
the same artwork though. It looks like.
Developed by Raven. But yeah, it was creepy, especially at the time. But this game got re-released for another system. I forget which one. But there wasn't as much blood in the one for Nintendo.
That's weird.
Yeah, so it was a little different. It was hard. It was hard.
It's like a maze,
It was a hard
eventually.
game. Yeah, it was a maze, and they don't give you that many potions. And
There's no like holding hands in that game.
no, you work together or die alone.
Yeah, exactly. But very fun co-op game.
Any crazy bosses that you remember, or like weapons
There
that
was
you?
one guy that looked like the thing from Spawn.
The Violator guy.
Yeah, there was one thing, and I'm almost confident that's where they got the idea from. Especially that time. What year was that when the game came out?
97.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah, so it was pretty good.
Number 3 for me is Star Fox 64. I remember when we first got it, it was the first game to introduce the Rumble Pack for the N64, which changed gaming forever. if you don't know what the hell Rumble Pack is, you're in the wrong podcast. But it was the extension that goes in the back of the controller and shakes your controller when you either shoot or get hit. I remember it being real violent too, the rumbling for the controller. More so then than any controller now. From the 4-player fighting or story mode, you can do either or, which was great. There's people, like if your friends or family were over, you play 4 players. Kind of like Mario Kart, or if you're by yourself, play story mode.
Yeah.
Was there flying? There's obviously flying and space like battles in that, right?
That's what it
It was all space.
Okay.
Wolf, Star Wolf, and his crew.
Wolf, Andros.
I think it's the most quotable video game.
Yeah.
I would say.
I'm gonna agree.
That game did fall on my list also, and that game was really good.
Then they have like a little screen on top with the characters like yelling and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Andross's enemy is my enemy.
Yep.
Yep.
They'll tell you if one's getting messed up, they'll message you like, I need help, Fox.
But it's sad that was the last really good Star Fox game.
Yeah, the first one.
That's insane.
Which I don't understand.
was there a Star Fox for Super NES?
Yeah.
That wasn't like the debut to the actual.
Star Fox series?
Yeah, that was similar to Star Fox too.
They remade that. Didn't they remake that?
3DS.
3DS.
You guys liked it for 3DS, I thought. I remember you played it.
That's why it's not on my list.
Because I played it more for 3DS.
3DS.
Yeah.
See, I liked it more on 64.
See, that's the thing. Whichever port you like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember that it came with the Rumble Pack. That was the first game to have that.
So Nintendo invented the whole shaking controller.
Hell yeah, they did. Nintendo's the innovators for everything. But yeah, Star Fox 64. I'm sure that's going to be on someone's list. I mean,
Yeah, that was on my list.
Alright, so for my number 2 game, we haven't heard it yet. I wonder, I would think it'd have to be on everybody's list, but that is Goldeneye 007. It's some people's greatest game probably ever. I mean, revolutionized first-person shooting. It's on the Mount Rushmore. It's not maybe the granddaddy, I would say, like, probably Doom or
It would be on the Mount Rushmore.
a first-person shooting. I think easily.
Yeah, I think so.
innovator.
Because that was the first. I mean, there's other games. Like there was
Doom
there
and
was a Star Trek
Wolfenstein.
game that was similar,
Alien.
but it wasn't that.
Alien had one before.
But
It was 1997, so it's still kind of early.
But yeah, that would definitely change it.
And then you talk about, I mean, all these games have had a kind of similar theme with multiplayer. I mean, this is probably one of the best multiplayer games ever. It's, even though you could have 4 people on the screen,
Right.
kind of cheat in a way and see what the hell they're doing, but it was
Of
still.
course. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about anyone else. I never liked James Bond movies. I could give a crap about
But
them.
GoldenEye probably at that time was pretty good.
The music and everything, even though you didn't like that
I
universe.
didn't like the movies, but I liked the video game.
And they threw in all the old school characters and everything.
Yeah, I knew, of course, Oddjob and Jaws.
I didn't become a Bond fan until after I beat Snake Eater, and then I started appreciating it.
I don't think I liked Bond until the current series with Daniel Craig.
Yeah, that's
But this game, I didn't really play too much of the story mode. I don't think I ever got past like the 3rd stage, but
It was good.
it was like a reenactment of the movie. I mean, you pretty much do all those things, and
Ride a tank in one mission. That was cool.
that was one of the first ones that I really tested out, where you just kind of sit in a spot and just keep killing characters and realize, wow, they just keep respawning. No matter how many people you kill, they just keep coming back and coming back. But
Wasn't there a paintball mode?
Yeah.
so that's what I was going to talk about, like all like the big head mode and everything. Oddjob being too short, everybody would always yell at as a kind of cheap character because they had less of a hit. But like, I think the guns in that game, the stages, some of the stages are so iconic. The temple, facility, library.
Complex, yeah.
I put that in Perfect Dark.
Yeah. A few of them.
Oh, really? It's interesting. Some of the guns, the golden gun, obviously, is a favorite. The RPGs, that was the first time I really saw what that kind of gun was.
Proximity mines?
Yeah. Oh my god, all the mines. You could do mine-only guns.
Mine only battles.
Yeah.
It was cool. Oddjob was small, so you had to like.
Yeah, and you could crouch and go through like ducks and everything.
My number 2 gets a lot of hate. This isn't a game that's well received. Castlevania for N64, Konami game. It gets a lot of hate because of the controls and the camera. But
It's
it's
not Alucard.
no, not Alucard. But I mastered this game when I was 8 or 9, so I don't understand all the hate it gets if a 9-year-old can.
Because it was tough, that's why people hate it.
It was difficult, yes.
Keith, Keithy Borash, I do see the rating as teen. That is above your 8-year-old. It wasn't the original Castlevania game,
No.
right? That franchise did exist before. It was just the first.
It was a 2D side-scrolling.
What got it the teen rating?
There's blood.
There's blood and violence.
Violence.
Wait, was this like a 3D world or?
Yeah, 3D. It was all 3D. Dracula, you fight Dracula at the end, and the Grim Reaper. It's all that vampire stuff.
Now, wasn't that side-scrolling though too, kind of like a 2D platform?
Castlevania, all of them were 2D.
2D platform,
Up
right?
to that point. And the one that everyone loves came out on PlayStation. That was like the masterpiece of Castlevania, whereas this one was kind of pushed to the
Any
side.
cool abilities or weapons you remember?
Yeah, you could play as... You can choose your character in the beginning, and the girl kind of shoots magic blasts, which made the game so much easier, because you could fight enemies in a distance, whereas if you pick the Belmont character, he has a whip, so you could get close in battle. But fun game. It scared me as a kid, but the graphics didn't age too well, but the gameplay's still good, so...
Cool opening with the violin.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
Good opening.
Good music.
Yeah, definitely good music. The platforming can be difficult sometimes. Like if you miss a jump, you fall off and you're dead, and you have to go all the way back.
So it wasn't forgiving.
No, there weren't like checkpoints or anything. So you had to like be very careful with the jumping, especially in the high places.
Alright, so this game is my number 2. This game is actually the first time I ever cut school.
What? Some backstory here.
So I could just have it to myself. And where it all began was WCW versus NWO
my God.
World Tour.
The
Wow.
first one.
First one, I got it for my birthday in 1997, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
THQ goes on the board, and I mean the other games
They're all classic.
were all, and they got better and better, but this was the first.
Mm-hmm.
So this one like definitely takes the staple. You got a 4-player wrestling match.
Yeah.
You had a league, we had titles, we had all that.
Would you say you played that the most out of all the wrestling games for N64?
Yeah, that one was definitely played the most.
I remember that doing taunts.
It was fun.
Yeah. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling.
Yeah, it was a fun.
That roster was huge. I mean, you think of some of like the Raw games on Super NES, like maybe 8 to 10 people to pick from. What was there? Probably like at least 40 people in this game.
Yeah.
I think Muhammad Ali was in it. Joe Bruiser.
Joe
The
Bruiser.
World Tour.
What was some of the most extravagant characters you remember in that game?
Well, there was some like Japanese wrestlers that like we even like IKEA Man with
Yeah. Paco Loco.
Paco Loco. I mean, they had a lot of
What was that one Chinese guy?
Well, there's
kimchi.
Kimchi.
He's not a food.
It was really good.
Hayabusa was in it.
Game time. And I think anyone that has 64, if not owned it, played it, because that was
Yeah.
sad.
Some of my friends had that game, and I was like, yeah, can I borrow this?
Yeah, that game was really good.
Who did you use the most in that game? Do you remember?
I know.
Norton, I liked a lot because he had a cool punch.
The knockout punch.
There was some cool. There was just some like Ultimate Dragon was a lot of fun. Tag matches were cool in that game,
The battle royales.
and I like that they were able to do. You could do Steiner's move or not Steiner's. The shoulders.
Set people up on the back. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Doomsday setup.
What
Or
did you
hold
do?
them. Like if you went from behind, you could like hold one holds the nail, punches them. Yeah, it was cool. It was just like a lot going on.
I believe that was the first wrestling game with blood.
Yeah, there's blood. Yeah.
Kind of obvious. That is The Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time.
That's number 2.
Number 2.
I thought that was everyone's one.
Nah, this. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. The game is fantastic. Zelda open world, the music, the story, the time traveling. The game is a really complete game. And if you're a fan of this series, even if you're not a fan of the Zelda series, you definitely played that. Everyone had it. It was, I don't know, it was a classic.
Definitely a game changer.
Game changer for story mode.
The world was pretty big at the time, so...
What's interesting about that is, if you follow the Zelda timeline, that's the game that pretty much changed direction for all the Zeldas moving forward, because it created the rift in the Zelda timeline, creating 3 separate timelines. You know, the hero wins, the hero's defeated.
Yeah.
What the fuck was the other one? The hero wins, the hero's defeated.
And then the hero wins, but...
vanishes. Yes.
Goes away.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever played it. I'm sure some of you have.
The concept was cool. Traveling in time.
I've beaten it. The temples were cool.
Yeah, the adult version of Link, I felt it was a lot better than playing as the kid version.
What Zelda? What was the subtitle of this game? This was Zelda.
Ocarina of Time.
So is that the one where the moon kept coming closer and closer? No.
Majora's Mask.
That's Majora's Mask.
The music. Yeah, I like the music.
Yeah, the music was classic.
Yeah.
It's Zelda. You can't go wrong.
No, you can't.
Is that the first Zelda game for 64?
Yeah.
There's only 2.
That and Ocarina.
But yeah, Zelda Ocarina of Time. I don't have to go in depth about it because.
So yeah, it's probably going to be mentioned again. Any personal bad guys that you liked, or weapons that you remember, or mechanics?
But mechanics-wise, the whole just 3D element when you have the little fairy following you and pointing at stuff.
When you say little fairy, what do you mean exactly?
I mean, like an actual little blue fairy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, weapon-wise, I think the grappling hook.
Yeah, don't forget about
hook shot.
The horse you could ride.
That's right.
That was cool.
Even the Ocarina when you play the song.
Yeah, with the windmill guy. A lot of memorable stuff.
Yeah, Song of Storms.
Yeah. And of course, the Ganon battle was awesome at the end.
Yes, it was.
You fight Ganondorf and then Ganon. That was cool.
That was pretty cool. That was, I think, an iconic moment in gaming.
It felt like the first truly epic type game, whereas everything else was kind of,
I think playing it, you don't realize what type of game it is.
Right.
Until you look back and go, holy shit, I actually played that when it first came out.
It felt like a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my number 2. So now we're going to throw to some honorable mentions.
Right.
We'll go around, name you 3. Let's not go crazy and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the other people's list first, though.
For good old Kevar, some certain games he did. Just 5 that came to his mind, no particular order here. So Zelda, the Zelda game you guys were just talking about. It looks like San Francisco Rush. WWF No Mercy, and Pokemon Stadium. He said overall, just based on replay value, Mario Kart would probably have to be his. Legal drinking and driving is always cool, so that was Mario Kart usually goes hand in hand with getting drunk. I don't know if he likes it for that reason, but that's always been a fun time of mine. Also, Danny Nachos, also not here, gave me his picks, starting from all the way back. Honorable mentions: Kobe Bryant Basketball, Diddy Kong Racing, Bomberman 64, and Duke Nukem 64. Those are some honorable mentions of his, with making the list. Looks like WCW vs. NWO Revenge. Number 4, Mario Party. Number 3, Winback. Also another Winback player. And our age group. Goldeneye. And he puts in parentheses multiplayer, so it's kind of like mine. It was just more the multiplayer aspect of it. And his number 1 is WrestleMania 2000, the first WWF THQ game.
Yeah.
The Hen Dog Man conquers bad for a day. Super Robot Wars 64. What is that?
I think that's a Japanese only game.
Bomberman 64.
It's a good one.
I'm gonna sneak an honorable mention in between Henry's, for no reason whatsoever. It's just weird. I thought about it. Rampage World Tour. I don't know. That's just, I thought of that too, so that's mine honorable mention. He didn't say anything about that. So his 5 are Doom 64. 4 was Goldeneye. On Henry's list, Orca of Time looks like it makes 3. Number 2, Perfect Dark, which we discussed, so that's pretty high up there for him. And then his number 1, I think we haven't talked about this Star Wars game, is Rogue Squadron, right? That was what was that, pod racing?
No, it was.
That was pilot. That was dog fighting.
There was a pod racing game though.
Yeah, that was fun too. Because you can customize the pod racing.
Yeah.
This is pod racing.
They had an announcer.
Yep.
What was the games? What's more
Remember
detail?
Anakin saying that movie?
Hey, leave that actor alone. Right?
I've got to get me one of these.
Yeah.
Dan. What's the name? Danny Gundam. Yeah.
Danny the Gundam creator and artifact collector.
Danny Gundams.
So his number 5 was Zelda Ocarina of Time. No Majora's Mask yet. Number 4 was Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Number 3 was Mystical Ninja. Number 2 was Castlevania. And number 1 was Mischief Makers. So he has a very similar list to mine. Also, we have our producer's list, G. He has some honorable mentions here. Pokemon Snap, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, which was Denshi, Star Fox, Super Smash Brothers. His number 5 was Super Mario 64, which I'm surprised I haven't heard yet. Number 4 is Majora's Mask. Number 3 was WCW NWO Revenge. Number 2 was Goldeneye, and number 1 was Ocarina of Time. But as for honorable mentions, Conquer's Bad Fur Day, another rare game. The first really mature game.
I was going to say rated mature, yeah.
Like mature, like mature for a Nintendo system, which is weird. Because it was ported onto Xbox, but it was censored on Xbox.
You mean AKA Deadpool before Deadpool was cool?
Yeah.
Let's break the fourth wall.
It had a good story mode, but also the multiplayer was awesome. When you're on the beach playing as Nazi teddy bears.
Well, that's allowed.
And the squirrels were like French people, so they're trying to escape. Just the multiplayer was awesome in Conquer's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, it was fun.
Definitely fun. Definitely a game you can still play now, I think. And
value.
Yeah. Other than that, another honorable mention would be Kirby 64.
Kirby 64.
Definitely probably my favorite Kirby game that I've played. Kirby 64.
The Star Wars Rogue game, Rogue Squad.
Yeah.
That was really cool. For that time, you control like your spaceship, you could upgrade it. Or your X-Wing. You know, they had other vehicles you could use, not just X-Wing. You use TIE Fighter or Wild Bomber.
That was a good series, actually.
Yeah, really fun game. Another 64 mention, Pokemon Snap. That was mentioned, I believe.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Creative game.
Now that's different than Hey You Pikachu, right? This game that you guys are talking about, that's
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, okay.
Pokemon Snap, yeah, dude. There was no Hey You. It was take pictures of Pokemon,
Fun.
throw fruit at them.
Orange League stuff.
Do you remember that
Essentially.
Blockbuster? They had that game on display, and people played that a lot. I remember.
Banjo-Kazooie?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Kazooie.
Another rare game, yeah.
Yeah, the game was fun. I mean, at the time, I remember.
3D platform, awesome.
So, in my honorable mention, Mario Kart 64 is one of them. 1080 snowboarding.
Okay.
Remember that game? Ready to Rumble boxing.
Afro guy.
That was because we never got a punch out for the N64.
And Knockout King sucked at that point still, so which would be the spiritual successor or precursor to Fight Night.
I'm gonna say WCW NWO World Tour would be on the honorable mention list as well.
One that stuck out. So all these games, like a lot of these games, are okay, but some of them have good first-person shooting or your four-player shooting mode, which towards the tail end of N64 seemed like every game needed to have that four-player shooting game. Donkey Kong, I believe that was also the first game to have the expansion that you put in the N64. What was that called?
That was
Memory card?
The ROM update or something?
Yeah, like actually put it in the N64.
In the N64 was a ROM update. I don't even know why what did so much
Perfect
more.
Dark had that, too.
Yeah.
Also, now this is not just added, this is on it. Wave Racer 64 / Jet Ski 64. Cruising USA.
Cool.
Another one. 1080 snowboarding I also had to put on that game. International Track and Field. You might be saying, huh? That is the game that put blisters on my hands. It reminds me of a Outer Limit Zone where a guy puts jellyfish DNA in his body adapts to be able to breathe underwater and like puts poison on his skin. That was when I first started thinking blisters like were put on your fingers to help you actually get better edges on the joystick. Your body's like trying to give you help to get these blisters, and that International Track Field's crazy. And then obviously you got your tennises. Mario Kart almost made the list because it's just Mario Kart, such an epic, and I'm not really a big Mario fan. That was one of the first games. I think Mario Kart came out before Brawl or Smash, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of was like, oh cool, I'm playing Mario. Yeah, so that'd be some of my honorable mentions. Then obviously, you have the Granddaddy World Tour. Then you have Revenge, which was a little bit better with entrances and you could customize. And then you have WrestleMania 2000, which gave you WWF characters. So those are all my honorable mentions. A little bit of a list, but 64 is a big system.
All right, my number 1 pick is Mystical Ninja. This game came out around the same time as Zelda, so not a lot of people played it, but I played this and I prefer it over Zelda.
Go, go, go!
The music is very memorable.
Awesome music, it's a very Japanese game, Japanese setting.
Yeah, isn't his weapon a pipe?
Yeah, he uses
I was gonna say just the cover looks like really anime inspired.
Definitely anime inspired, but you get 4 characters you can switch between. They all have their own moves and weapons. You could get in a giant robot.
This is I see everybody loves this game. This is not the same people that did the Blue Dragon game, is it?
No.
Because it looks similar artwork.
Everyone has power-ups. Fun game. It's a 3D adventure. You go through castles. Good music. I think it's a perfect video game. So every sense, 10 out of 10 for me. 10 out of 10. Mystical Ninja.
It looks like just like the camera shots. Look like there's different aspects. It's not just side scrolling. It looks like there's different
different things you can do. The robot battles were especially memorable, and you can ride.
Oh, that's what's going on. That's a robot battle here. I didn't know they were flying something.
There has epic music when you're in the robots.
Now, my number 1 is not necessarily my favorite game, but it is a game that kind of raised the bar. Just raised the bar a tad bit. It's the point where 3D fighting. What's up now? We all know Killer Instinct came out early. This game came out a little later. And that's Mortal Kombat 4 on Nintendo 64. That was probably the first Mortal Kombat where I felt like I knew all the finishers, all the fatalities. Yeah, that game was really underrated, I thought.
What was the roster like in that game? That was 4? Was that the...
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 4. The roster was really small.
It's a 3D game.
It had Fujin,
Yeah, the Gwyn guy.
which is Raiden's ally. Jarek, who's a black dragon after...
Yeah, Kano's son, I think.
Into the Special Forces, the Black Dragon live on!
The Black Dragon died with Kano. You're the last one, Jarek.
Never!
Yep. Kay, who's a Shaolin monk. Meat, he was an unlockable character. Then Quan Chi, he was in the game, which is pretty cool.
That was the villain?
Yeah, the Sub-Zero's... You saw more in that Sub-Zero game that was the Sub-Zero movie video game.
Right.
Was this where Liu Kang actually finally died?
No, Liu Kang's in it.
When did he?
Yeah,
Because he died.
this was Reptile without the mask. This one. This was like when they finally showed him as he is without the ninja outfit. It was like a snake-looking guy.
This game didn't have weapons in it, did it yet?
Yeah. You
So I
can
think I
get
remember playing
hammers
this
and stuff. It's interesting. Story mode. Certain characters die in their story mode endings.
Yeah.
So like Liu Kang gets killed in someone's ending.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was getting at. Because Liu Kang was a zombie, I think, come like 5 or something.
Reptile. Yeah. He gets killed in his own
He
ending.
gets killed in his own storyline. So he was supposed to die.
Who was the one guy that was had the face paint with the blue eyes?
That was Quan Chi, I think.
Yeah, Quan Chi.
That wasn't Sub. Oh no, because Sub-Zero was his own character.
But what's cool about that, Goro was in it.
Right.
And it was fighting him 3D. That was like really fun. That was cool.
I remember that.
That was like, because before that, not many games were 3D fighting games.
Not a lot.
And the ones that weren't like a major platform like Mortal Kombat, and you get I'm pretty sure there's no Street Fighter games for Nintendo 64.
Number 1 N64 game, drumroll, please.
Fire that drummer.
It's me, Mario!
Mario 64?
We should know that. Mario 64 is my favorite game for Nintendo 64. And here is why. It was innovative, original, memorable, and it has the godfather of video games himself, Mario, in a 3D open world game. How can you beat that? I mean, from the new power-ups with the flying cat, the Bowser battles, jumping into paintings with the music, some of the most memorable music in video game. No side characters, no Luigi. You only get Yoshi for a second if you get all the stars. You get a random Toad here and there, like standing in the background talking. That's the only criticism I have. Like, you can't do 2-player. They did do a port for the DS with Wario, Luigi, and Yoshi, but yeah, Mario 64 would be my favorite game. For
Any new power-ups that were in that game? What was 6? Because I never really get to play. Obviously, I
it was the cap.
know about it, but
yeah, the cap with the wings, you could fly or glide.
You gotta jump through pictures though.
Get the stars and
The stage.
But I think Peach runs away with Bowser, and Mario is the jealous Italian going after her.
Oh, the plot theory.
That's my opinion. You know, everyone's trying to protect the love of Bowser and Peach, but
I thought that game was good because the 3D feature, you do like flips and back flips were cool.
triple jumps, wall jumps.
Well, I mean, even though I didn't play it, I don't hear any Mario fans saying that game was bad. So for that being the first 64, and that was like one of the first 64 games. That was out right at launch. My number one, no drum roll needed, is pretty obvious. WF No Mercy.
Beat us. You're against us.
Great soundtrack. Dig-dig-dig-a-da-do. Still playing. Yeah. People still play that game, and obviously the last one's always going to be the best usually of a series. Some people do like WrestleMania 2000 a little better. I know the entrance was shortened a little bit, and maybe certain frame rate issues. I never really saw anything too crazy, but No Mercy just brought so many stuff in. Good springboard moves, like maybe a few characters had them early. I'm trying to think. I don't remember too much crazy high flying moves really in the earlier games. So No Mercy was the first one to do springboard, running strikes, and grapples. Play the song. Put it up a little bit.
ladder match.
You had the TLC matches, the crazy freaking steel cage matches where it was like 30 feet high, so a steel cage match actually seemed pretty good. Create a mode. Create a character would take 2 hours to do all the moves. Yeah. It was insane.
You do all the moves.
And having the unlock factor of it just gave it replay value. Huge roster.
The roster was gigantic. Who'd you like picking?
Some Rock was cool. That the People's Elbow. They were starting to get pretty good in that game. Everybody.
They had everybody.
I always switch it up.
That's the whole attitude era. Right?
Creating the characters. They had all the people from No Mercy. That was it released late 2000. So WCW was still around, but it was pretty much the tail end of it. And this, I kind of feel like this game kind of brought more eyes probably to it, and probably maybe helped that last knife stab to WCW, because WCW was getting nowhere with their video games, and especially once THQ and AKI went to WWE. And I know THQ folded. What does AKI do? Are they still around? Key Corporation?
They're gone.
I don't know if they went to Ukes or whatnot, but
I think Ukes buried them all.
I know this game had could work with the Game Boy Color. I don't think I ever did anything with that though, but I know it first wrestling game did, so you could like create a guy on your Game Boy and then bring it to this. But just the crate. Now, one thing I do have to say, even though it's the greatest game ever in my N64 list, the game did crash supposedly once in a while. I think I remember that happened to me like once or twice, where just everything got deleted. So you'd be playing, get everything where you needed, and turn it on one day, and everything's gone. Start back from the beginning. So that was pretty tough, but just had good replay value. Like I said, with the it was universal. Anybody could pick it up and enjoy playing it. So that is my number one pick.
As far as replay value goes, we're talking about 2018, we're talking about New Age, Monster Hunter, the beginning. Nintendo 64 of all the systems does not have great replay value.
Agreed.
And this is because of one thing. One tiny title. It's because they revolutionized video games. They used the beginning of what we have today in the system. And I tip my hat to Nintendo 64, but the majority of the games mentioned today you can purchase at a very cheap price. Smash Brothers is very expensive, being $60.
Yeah.
But that's
Is that right?
That's every other game. I mean, it is possible to have a library of 64s, but it's not compatible with HD. And it's not compatible with most TVs that are out in the market today.
But you can get like emulators and they look crystal clear.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Well, who's that one face? He almost looks like American that you guys are always talking about when NWO comes. You show him in the moon. He almost looks like Mark Cuban. The one guy. Anytime you guys talk about N64 or Nintendo and the hype train.
Reggie.
Oh, Reggie.
Oh, Reggie.
Or Nintendo.
Yeah, he looks like
Body's ready.
My body's ready.
My body is ready.
That's the guy who says my body.
Yeah, can we show up some of those memes that you guys always show?
Yeah, we'll show Reggie.
The Reginator? Yeah.
We're
Reggie.
gonna dedicate this to Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie is free.
That's definitely on our screen. You should like superimpose his face on.
But don't be mistaken. Nintendo 64. What other system can you have 4 players at the same time at that time? That was huge. Even today, some systems don't let you do 4 players.
No, don't let this go.
Yeah, you guys are always showing him.
I think it's, other than maybe Dreamcast, I think it's the best multiplayer system.
Yeah.
Well, it's Nintendo. I mean,
It's the
Nintendo.
innovator.
Well, just like I was saying, with all the peripherals, no other systems really tried doing like weird add-ons like that. It's really Nintendo is the one that really got a lot of that stuff going.
I mean, this is once again, this is the Gamer Dojo top 5 list and 64 edition. So that's all I got.
So stay tuned. Retro is going to pick the next topic.
Next top 5 pick will soon to be announced. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Alright, everybody, thank you for tuning in to Gamer Dojo, Top Personal 5.